A tumultuous week in New York City politics. How long will Eric Adams be able to call himself mayor? The Point starts right now. Teachers Union President Michael Mulgrew is here to talk about the upcoming change in leadership at the Department of Education. But first, is the entire city facing a change in leadership? So that's the question. Is the city facing a change in leadership, given the fact that the mayor of the city of New York was indicted?
You know, as unionists, we believe in due process, and the American system is based on due process. But at the same time, it comes down to whether you can actually fulfill your job responsibilities. And that's a question the mayor's going to have to answer. But he has to be very reflective about it. He has to say, can I do my job? I've lost so many people. How do I get people to replace them? There's so many different challenges in every agency. And with all, you know, we're talking only at this point about one investigation. There are still 3 others. So, you know, if you can't fulfill your responsibility, and I'm hoping that he understands that as an elected official, that responsibility comes way before your own self-thoughts, that then you can't do it. If you can't do it, you shouldn't be there. But this is not good for us as a city, and it's really not good for us as a school system.
So I guess the question is, like, he originally vowed to let his lawyers handle the legal part, and he was going to continue running the city. And he had the same mantra that he's had over the last several months as the investigation has continued, which is, even though there's been this investigation, crime is down, jobs are up, tourism is up, I can handle it. Is that a realistic approach given this new indictment?
Again, a lot of those things have a lot to do with the overall economy. New York City was rebounding very quickly. Thankfully, our economy has been very good, despite the mayor last year claiming we were in an economic crisis. We were not. So as he's saying these things, he can continue to say them, but if every day he's spending hours and hours and hours dealing with these multiple investigations besides the indictment, that's really going to be up to himself to make his own decision. If not, I know that, you know, this is New York City. You've been around, I've been around. The phones are ringing off the wall, and everyone's just really, the main concern is we have to have our city functioning. And with the loss of so many real key personnel, can we function as a city?
So the governor said that he has to prove to New York City that, A, he can run the state and the city, and 2, more important, can he regain the trust of the voters, of the people who live here? What do you think?
For us, for me, and for the people I represent, it's all of this is not helpful to us for the work that we have to do, so it's going to be very difficult for us. School communities are very battle-tested. Teachers and parents, we're battle-tested. We deal with all sorts of craziness. But when we're facing a critical year, our school's chancellor announced in the 3rd week of school that he is retiring. Clearly that was not planned, and that's not helpful. We have we have the continuation of a citywide literacy program that went completely citywide this year. That's, you know, there's all sorts of problems with this as we move towards it. They announced some crazy math curriculum without talking to anyone. There was no consultation. That's already, the teachers are saying this is going to harm children. How do you do that when the Department of Education, right? This is the bureaucracy. They can't move unless the mayor says they can move. So we know this math curriculum's not working. But can they announce that they're going to pull back from it? Because the mayor's going to say, does this look badly upon me? You know, it gets down to that level. People have to realize that is the context now of all of this, because every decision that an agency makes, it has to be also run through City Hall. Are they going to do it what's in the best interest, in my case for children, or are they going to do it based off of how does this interfere or how does this help or hurt me with all of these allegations and my public perception? And that's the problem, that people are, yeah, you hear the allegations, you hear all this stuff, but the problem is if every decision, what is the best interest of the public, not what's in the best interest of your political dilemma at this moment. That's the problem.
So your advice to him was think about resigning?
I haven't spoken to him directly, but I know, you know, I've known Eric for a long time, and I'm like, think about that part of this. It's not just about you. if everything has to go through your folks, through your communications people, through your PR people, are we making the best decisions for the people of the city? And as far as I'm concerned, for the children of our city, because we always have to change things. We're okay as educators, we change. But for some reason, politicians have issues with, oh, I have to look at it this way and this way. It's simple for us. Is it in the best interest of children? You know, so we know, as I said, we have a math curriculum. They should not have picked this math curriculum. Doesn't sound like a big deal. But now does this stop the Department of Ed from saying, oh, we need to remove it because the mayor, this might be another thing that you might report on about how this is part of the dilemma of his political problem right now. And that's the problem.
So the fallout from all of these investigations has taken its toll in the Department of Education, where the Chancellor, David Banks, said, I'm going to suddenly retire in the middle of the year, and then in January, New York City is going to get a new school chancellor. What effect will this change in midstream have on the school year for the Department of Education, and what are your concerns about the children?
So New York City, we've had mayoral control for 3 mayors. Every mayor has pinpointed what the problem, according to every mayor. The root of all the problems have been not the schools, but this thing, this entity, this grotesque animal known as the Department of Education. Sorry to put it that way. And nobody has been able to move that. So our new incoming chancellor, Melissa, she's a real educator. Very good educator. But that bureaucracy of the DOE, they like instability. They thrive off instability because it allows them to continue to not do their job, which is supposed to be to support the schools. So as this is going on, you have her coming in. I know she knows the issues on the curriculum. I know she understands that in depth because of her experience at every level of our education system. But is the bureaucracy, because of the issues with the mayor, just going to sit back and say, we don't have to do anything?
But you've raised questions about the math program, which you think is not a good program. Would she, coming in the way she does, have the ability to say, hey, wait a minute, they're right, we ought to change it? Or does she have to wait until next year? And next year, she's going to be coming in, dealing with September, which may be getting a new mayor in November. I mean, it's sort of a mess.
Yeah, because the issue is we do 2 things as educators. People have to, there's content knowledge and there's the development of the child themselves, social, emotional, all these other things. The content is all about building blocks. We put these blocks, and blocks are built on top of blocks. But you can't get to these other blocks unless you do these. So we just introduced a math curriculum where all the blocks that were supposed to be on the bottom are in place. So the damage that's going to be done, I have to put this in terms of a parent and a child. This is about an algebra course that leads to a Regents, which is part of a child's graduation requirement. We're talking about children who are going to be harmed and not pass their graduation test they need to graduate. So it's not just a little thing about curriculum. It actually will have a profound effect upon children. If we don't move this back because the mayor or his team feels that it's going to hurt them somehow, then we got a problem.
So let me talk to you about something else. Another big problem for the school system is the need to reduce class size. And School Chancellor Banks, in the beginning of school, said that that's going to be a problem next year because they're going to need as many as 12,000 new teachers. He says there's a teacher shortage and that they may have to lower their standards. I can't imagine that you think that's a good idea.
He probably says it because he knows his bureaucracy can't really help support teachers. But no, we're not going to lower our standards. And it's not a problem for the city of New York to lower its class sizes. We lobbied with parents for years to get this law. The state is funding it, clearly funding it.
Can we find enough teachers?
So the question is, can we find enough teachers? And that's part of the challenge. So why are we not working directly with CUNY, with SUNY? Why are we not using them to actually prepare teachers to teach in New York City, which is like no place else to teach in the country, like no place else? We absolutely can do this, but we can't. But we have to have a school system that actually understands your job is here to help teachers develop. That first 3 years of teaching is brutal.
So why are we not working with CUNY and SUNY to do this?
Because everyone's talking about indictments and investigations.
So the consensus is we need more stability in city government so that we can deal with the challenges that lie ahead in the education system.
The school system, a classroom cannot function unless it's stable. School can't function, and the whole school system cannot function without stability. And right now, we do not have the schools, as I said, battle tested, dealing with the issues. They will help children. They will learn. But how much better would we be as a school system if it was stable, if we didn't have, you know, the Department of Ed wasn't just hiring, you know, hundreds of consultants to go into schools and insult teach. You know, you're telling a teacher that, you know, teach this curriculum the way we developed it in our private business. And the teacher's like, I have 4 different developmental levels and 3 different languages. I have to differentiate. No, you must teach it the way we told you to. But all right, how much experience you have? Oh, I'm from Iowa. I mean, come on, man. It's like, stop it.
Michael Mulgrew, thank you for being here. We're going to have to leave it right there for now, but we'll be right back. What a week for New York City. The first mayor in history to be indicted. To help sort it all out, Katie Honan of the city and J.C. Polanco, attorney and assistant professor at the University of Mount St. Vincent. First question, what is the over-under on how long Mayor Adams can call himself mayor of the city of New York?
Well, let me tell you, this is a tough time, Marcia. Marcia, listen, I got to tell you, New Yorkers are tired. We're tired of seeing people that we trust, that we elect into office, get themselves in this position. We see it at all levels, state, federal, local. We've had it, and you see it in the coverage since the indictment. Simultaneously, the mayor is entitled to a presumption of innocence, and that's important for New Yorkers to remember. He has not had his day in court yet to launch a defense.
The but?
No, there is no but. Both things are true. Now, this is the issue, Katie and Marcia. The mayor has 3 options in front of him. 1, does he continue to run for re-election, serve as mayor, and defend against these charges? 2, does he continue to serve as mayor and defend against these charges and forget about re-election? Or 3, does he forget about being mayor, re-election, and just focus on defending these charges? And that's a very tough decision, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to make one of those 3.
Katie.
Well, there is a 4th part of that, and I guess it's not up to him. Governor Kathy Hochul can remove him, or the Mayoral Inability Committee can convene, which is made up of the comptroller, a deputy mayor of his choosing, the longest-serving borough president, and elect, and they need 4 out of the 5 people to remove him from office. And when he resigns, if he steps down, I think we see an emboldened, stubborn isn't the right word, but he's really digging his heels in, and his lawyer is very confident, and his lawyer is very critical of the federal prosecutors for just these charges. So who knows? I wish I knew if he was going to resign and when.
So here's the question. His lawyer said that they're going to ask to have this case dismissed for cause.
That's standard. That's very standard in a case like this for him to ask for a dismissal. And then he qualified it today in the arraignment. He qualified it. He said, listen, this is a case that's not what it appears to be, and we believe that it's actually tainted from the grand jury on, and we're going to prove it. That's my point. New Yorkers have to remember, as tired and frustrated as we are about hearing all about this stuff, the mayor is entitled to presumption, and his lawyer's starting to put on a case, which is, hey, we're going to ask for a dismissal, and let me tell you why. And I know there are a lot of sharks in the water smelling blood right now, but he is entitled to a presumption of innocence.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Is it realistic for him to say, I'm going to leave the legal stuff to my lawyers and I am going to run the city of New York? Is that anywhere in the realm of reality?
No. I think just because, you know, again, there's the criminal trial, and then there's the job he has to do as mayor, and that involves meeting with other legislators, that involves meeting with non-elected officials to continue your cause of what you're trying to push. Do people want to talk to him? Do people want to meet with him? And, you know, Wednesday he's due back in court. What if there's something that he has to do Wednesday? I think it's a distraction for so many in his office, whether they've been elected themselves, appointed by him, or they're longer time governmental employees, to just continue with his goal and his mission. He's focused on public safety. City, yes, he wants to pass to build more housing, but it all just seems like a big distraction, and I don't see a world where he continues to be, as he says, not distracted.
I need to ask you this question because you spend a lot of time in City Hall covering people and talking to people in the administration. There's a lot of openings already, and there could be more people who decide this isn't for me, I want to leave. How does he run city government and get people to take some of these big jobs like health commissioner or corporation counsel while this hangs over his head?
I think he can sell what they're doing, right? They're here devoted to New York City and the more than 8 million people who live here, the 300,000 plus city employees. But yeah, he is there as the distraction. And there's plenty of people who've worked in government for decades who care about the mission, regardless of who the mayor is and what's happening with them. But for these higher profile positions, you're right. I mean, 2 lawyer positions that are outstanding, the general counsel and the corporation counsel. I don't know who will take on those roles. He hasn't even announced an interim for Lisa Zornberg since she left. So I don't know what will happen.
But there have been a lot of succession plans, Katie. Let's be fair. There's been a succession plan already for the chancellor. There's a succession plan already for the NYPD commissioner. You know, we have succession plans all around for moments like this. We're a very large city, the most important city in the world, and we're ready to go. In addition, there's also a succession plan in the event that the mayor does decide to resign. The public advocate will be mayor of New York City, so we have a succession plan. The city will be fine as we move forward. The question is, let's stop for a second. I don't want to just diminish the importance of these charges or how serious they may be, but we have a candidate for president who's been indicted in several jurisdictions, federal and state, who's been convicted. And let's face it, we're talking about trying to steal an election, sexually assaulting a woman, hiding $500 million or lying about $500 million worth of your companies, hiding war plans in your bathroom. The man has been indicted and in some places convicted. He's within the margin of error of being leader of the free world. Now, not belittling these charges, we're asking the sitting mayor of New York, which in my opinion is the second hardest job in the world, to tell him to resign because he's just been indicted this week without having an opportunity to defend himself when he has a presumption of innocence. It must be difficult for the mayor and his team to rationalize, wait a minute, what planet am I on? Now, New Yorkers are frustrated. We're tired. We've heard about P. Diddy. We've heard about Trump. We've heard now we're throwing this guy in there. We're tired, and you can see the frustration, but we got to keep level and remind ourselves there is a presumption of innocence. Let's give this mayor a shot, at least to defend himself. And he has those 3 options that I mentioned earlier. He's going to make a decision, and he's going to get a lot of pressure from Marcia and from the New York City press to tell us, and from Katie, to tell us what's happening. Now, it's his job to tell the press and tell the people, I'm prepared to do all 3. That's a Herculean task, to be able to say, I could run the city of New York, I could defend myself against federal charges and run for re-election. That's going to be a tough one, Mayor.
Your thoughts on that, Katie?
Yeah, I do. He shouldn't, I guess, in deciding what to do, he shouldn't just think of the optics, I guess. And that's probably what his lawyers are saying. But the optics are still there. How do you have a Tuesday press conference where you have a group of reporters and he's been told by the judge not to discuss the case? They said with his family and his staff. Well, I'm not family or staff, so can we still talk about it? There's these questions of what questions can he take? Will people sit in a press conference for an hour and ask him about maybe some new bike lanes or some new school changes in the Department of Education? Probably not. And I don't mean Chancellor Banks leaving, but the real nitty-gritty of government. So there are those questions. And that's a criticism of the press, that, oh, we focus too much on these salacious stories and not what's actually happening in the day-to-day of the agencies. But, you know, I think the first mayor in New York City history to be indicted is a big deal. We should cover it. And I do wish they told us about some of the other stuff going on in the agencies, at least maybe as a distraction away from all these criminal charges.
We only have a little bit of time left, but I'm just wondering, you know, in 30 seconds or less, what do you think is going on in his head right now? Is he thinking, I'm going to beat this? Or does he think, maybe I should look into my soul and say, it's time for me to resign?
I think it's too soon. It's too soon, Marcia. Anybody who tells you they have the answer is lying. It's too soon. We really don't know how much is out there. We don't know what kind of information. And his lawyers are going to sit there and say, listen, this information that they have is damning. You have no option here. You must resign. Or we can beat this. Lawyers are looking at this, and they're going to give him the best advice possible. And I think he has competence.
10 seconds.
He believes God told him to be mayor, and I don't think he's going to leave easily. So that's my take.
I love what you're saying. And we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversation continues on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. Taking a page from former Mayor Ed Koch in his famous "How am I doing?" question, we asked the same thing about Eric Adams. The interview with New Yorkers taking place a few days before he was indicted. They're weighing in on your point. How do you think Mayor Adams is doing?
Poorly.
I have no idea.
He's doing okay.
He's okay. Probably good. I really don't have an opinion.
I don't think he did a good job.
How's Mayor Adams doing?
How's Mayor Adams doing? He's doing okay.
Give him a grade.
Oh. A B.
I Literally too busy at work to keep up. I'm sorry.
I think he's overwhelmed.
I don't really know. It's kind of confusing what's going on with all those investigations.
I think he's in the hot seat.
Honestly, I don't think he's doing too well.
How come?
I feel like the city was safer before he came into office.
Did you trust his judgment?
Not really.
No.
No.
Why not?
I don't think that he's capable, unfortunately, of solving major problems.
I don't know what a judgment is.
Not with everything, but somewhat.
On certain things, but not everything.
Like what?
Like I like the safety. He backs the police.
I don't know. I'm always skeptical.
Not sure.
Why not?
Because I don't do politics.
You trust his judgment?
On some things, but others I question.
I just don't trust him. He got his family members doing all sorts of things.
No, because I don't think he cares. I think that we need someone that does.
I trust him.
You trust him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's locking up all the criminals.
I like what he did with, cracking down on the smoke shops.
I trust his judgment. But I think the job is a lot harder than we think.
So would you vote for him in the next election?
No.
No.
Possibly.
I'd have to see.
I don't vote.
You don't vote?
No.
Depends on who he's running against. If it was Donald Trump, I'd vote for Adams.
Would you vote for him in the next election?
Yes.
Why?
Because he's doing things. He's doing things that other mayors couldn't do.
Okay, like what? What do you think he's doing that other mayors can't do?
Crime is going down.
A good point. So would you vote for him in the next election?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I don't think he's doing the job that New York needs. And New York is my home. I love New York.